Ladies and gentlemen, a reading from the work in progress, No Good Deed, Memoirs of a Swine, Volume 5. There was a list going around on Facebook that made me laugh of nihilistic password security questions. Stuff like, in what year did you abandon your dreams? What is the maiden name of your father's mistress? On what street did you lose your childlike sense of wonder? And the one that made me really think, what sports team do you fetishize to avoid meaningful discussion with others? I think a lot of people talk about sports so that they can be talking passionately with others about something that isn't really important in the grand scheme of things. It's a way for them to live vicariously through others' triumph and feel better about their own defeat. If they didn't have it to focus on, they'd end up talking about things that matter, like how badly they're being screwed and what they should do about it. The reason I mention this, we're not into sports in my family, so we talk about movies instead. My dad and Todd will launch into long-winded analyses of either films or books, and I always thought Todd could have made a better living out of being a critic, but he never wanted to commit himself to it. As a writer, I enjoyed listening because I thought I might learn something that would make me better, and I wanted to impress them with what I'd learned now that I'd grown up to be somebody. I wanted validation from these two assholes who'd always called me an idiot. Now, my mother reads my books and mentioned that she even reads the Begats. I asked what she meant, and she said in the Bible there's that long part where Shem begat Japheth and Japheth begat Obed, yada yada yada. And there's this part in all the memoirs where I go off on a long-winded rants that are not necessary for the story, but she guesses they're supplemental. I asked if she meant my talking about prison or being on psych meds or feeling strongly about art and gastronomy. Yeah, she said, the Begats. Sigh. So I guess this part is the Begats of the new book. You can skip it if you want, but like all of them, I feel it's worth reading so that you can see who we are as people. If this is never included in a book, I think, and the author only focuses on what moves the story along, you just get bones and miss out on the meat, the stuff that makes it memorable. So I figured some things out about Pulp Fiction, Todd said. We'd had some questions back when we were kids that never got answered beyond the simple ones people were arguing about, like, what's in the briefcase? Yeah, shoot. So John Travolta spends a lot of time in the bathroom, right? Remember in Trainspotting where Ian McGregor says heroin makes you constipated? And there's that nasty scene in the worst bathroom in Scotland where he's no longer constipated. Oh, yeah, I remember. So, Travolta does heroin, so he's in the bathroom a lot for a long time. That's why he takes the book. When they're in Bruce Willis's apartment, he's waiting with Marcellus Wallace when he has to go to the bathroom, and Marcellus gets bored and decides to go get coffee and donuts and leaves his gun there on the counter. That's why Marcellus just happened to be crossing the street when Bruce Willis is leaving. They were in the middle of their stakeout to get revenge. That was Marcellus Wallace's gun. Bruce Willis found it and kills John Travolta with it. Oh, and Bruce Willis is the one who keyed Travolta's car. Remember Travolta tells Eric Stoltz that his car got keyed? We always wondered why they included that. Like, what did that have to do with anything? And why would someone key it? It just made no sense. Bruce Willis keyed it. He was talking in the bar with Marcellus, and Marcellus pays him to throw the fight against his guy. A boxer who takes a dive is called a palooka. Travolta tries to pick a fight with him in the bar, calling him a palooka, and when Marcellus calls Travolta over, Bruce Willis watches them hug and realizes he can't do anything. A guy that gets hugged by the big crime boss is no one to fight. So he leaves, and when he sees the Malibu in the parking lot, he keys it. But how does he know that's Travolta's car, I ask? It's a bar in the morning. There are a few cars there already when the people who work there, when he arrived for the meeting. And this new guy shows up, there's one new car, the Malibu. It must be his. Huh. Okay. I never would have thought Tarantino was subtle. I know, right? But maybe he wanted us to think. It took you 20 years to figure it out. I had other stuff going on. Todd glanced at his children. Okay, what else? Godfather. Remember all the questions we had, like why'd Rocco Lampone shoot Roth at the airport? It was a really dumb move. There was no way for him to escape, and he was a capo. That's a job for a thug, right? Why'd he pretty much commit suicide by shooting him point blank? Maybe it's because he was the one who betrayed Michael. Remember, somebody opened the curtains at night so the snipers could get a shot at Al Pacino? In my home! In my bedroom where my wife sleeps? Who could it have been? Could it have been Fredo? He's the one who betrayed him, yeah, but the two assassins were found dead. Do you really think he could kill two murderers without making any noise when they failed to kill his brother? I doubt it. Remember how he dropped the gun when his dad got shot? Rocco, on the other hand, was in the military. He was the one who killed Poligato. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. He knows the property inside and out because he's in charge of security. His soldiers are loyal to him, not Michael, and it makes sense it was him. And it didn't work, so Michael got to thinking, figured it out, and offered him the chance to die bravely and his family be spared instead of all of them dying from torture. That's the only reason I can think of that he'd go to his certain death shooting Roth point blank in front of a bunch of cops. Huh. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I was interrupted by my phone vibrating in my pocket. I got up and feigned going to the bathroom so I could check my messages. And I lost my phone now. Once the door was closed behind me, I fished it out and my blood ran cold. It was Ken saying, "Hey champ, everything he just said he plagiarized from this YouTube channel. Watch the video on 2x speed so that you can see the next parts instead of him. So you can say the next parts instead of him." It made my belly fill with ice to know he'd been listening the whole time, but also chuffed that he wanted me to look good in front of my family. It was a bizarre feeling, but I did as he told me and flushed the toilet when I was done watching for authenticity and came back out. "Hey, how about this?" I said. "In the first one, when we meet Mo Green, remember Michael coldly tells him that he was buying him out? It looked like he was openly antagonizing him, didn't it? Why would he do that? I think I know why." Dad had come into the room and folded his arms, leaning his shoulder against the wall. I swallowed and summoned the courage to continue. "It would have been against all the rules for Michael to kill Mo for slapping Fredo around. But remember how it was all right for Sollozzo to try and murder Vito? It was justified because it was business. They had a meeting, he proposed an alliance, the Don refused, so it was perfectly all right to remove him in order to make the business with Sonny. So, Michael went to Vegas and tried to make a deal with Green. He deliberately sabotaged it by being undiplomatic, so of course, Mo Green refused. I could see my brother was annoyed that I was saying exactly what he was going to say next, so Ken was right. I went on with confidence because if it was from the same source that he thought was good enough to pass off as his own, I'd get the points he would have gotten. Now, there was nothing to stop Michael from killing him. It wasn't personal anymore, it was business. There was a pause, that performer's eon. Waiting for applause that never came because my dad said, "Nah." We all looked at him and he dismissed me with a sneer. "He didn't need an excuse to kill anybody. You're reading too much into it." "But," I started to say, catching myself. I almost revealed my source, thinking it would validate me. I looked at Todd as if he might vouch for me, since we were both plagiarizing the same video, but of course he wouldn't. "Try not to be so clever," Dad said. "Or how about this?" Todd asked. "When the senators in the I can't really say that because I've got English-speaking diners nearby. Whorehouse. With the dead hooker and blood everywhere? Did Tom Hagen bide his time until the senator just decided out of the blue to get drunk in a bordello and kill somebody so he could swoop in and save the day, thereby putting his erstwhile enemy right in the family's pocket?" Dad shrugged. "Yeah, why not? Come on, what are the odds? The senator says he doesn't know what happened." "Well, of course he's going to say that." "Well, how about this? Since it's a Corleone bordello, they know he's coming. They know his routine. He gets the same drink every time. So this time, they slip him the Mickey, knock him out, and then brutally murder their own employee. What, do you think they're nice guys all of a sudden? No! They murder people. They cut the heads off horses and put them in the beds of movie moguls. So who cares about the hooker? Like they said, she had no family or anyone who'd come looking for her. She was just a pawn to sacrifice." My dad put on a thoughtful expression, considering it, and then made that down-curving smile. "Bravo, Tadiotti, that never occurred to me." I tried to keep the resentment out of my voice. "Or how about this?" Everyone looked at me and I swallowed again, my mouth suddenly dry. "What do you think was the moment Michael turned bad, became an actual gangster? What was it that pushed him from being an upstanding war hero to the mafioso he had promised Kay he'd never be?" "Easy," Dad said. "When he shot Sollozzo and the cop." "No," I said, and my wife looked a warning at me. "Shut up," I saw her tell me with her eyes. But I went on.